I don't know if Japanese brands will ever give us a base like this for anything under 15,000 yen. Hi and welcome back to the channel. I'm Steven today with a scale figure review. Yes, another low budget scale figure, but this is not your typical low budget figure brand that has just started in the past 2 years, 3 years maybe. This is coming from a veteran figure brand in China that has been making premium scale figures for the past decade. Yes, since the mid 2010s or so, 2015, 2016. Myethos has been around for way longer than most, if not all, Chinese figure brands that make characters from Japanese anime or even Chinese games. And it was as far back as year 2017 or so, I got my hands on some of their figures, original characters, as well as a Danganronpa Celestia Ludenberg figure. I got my hands on their pre-release prototype even for an anime exhibit event in my country. For today, we are looking at their low-budget figure line called Myethos Gift Plus, where they tend to cost around 6,000 yen each, and they are actually 1/8 scale, which is a tad bit bigger than Good Smile Company's pop-up rate line, the standard pop-up rate. So what we have over here is Myethos Gift Plus 1/8 Elysia swimsuit version from Honkai Impact 3rd. This figure came out back on the 31st of May in China, but for everyone else who pre-ordered her on the Japanese website, the release date was 24th of July 2025. So this is a fairly new figure, barely 2 months old if you look at the international release date. I am already so impressed. On day 1, I unboxed her in my previous figure haul video, which was almost 2 months ago by now. Yes, initially it felt a little bit small because I have been collecting figures that are at least 1/7 scale or bigger for a long time. So I wasn't used to 1/8 scale, even though 1/8 was actually the main standard scale for premium anime scale figures around 15 years ago. If you were collecting figures since the late 2000s, mid 2000s until today, which means 15 to 20 years of collection, then you know that premium scale figures of the past, around 2005 to 2012, 2013, 1/8 scale was the most common scale, even for Good Smile Alter stuff, right? I'm not sure if I can compare this 1/8 scale figure here today to premium scale figures of the past from 15 years ago, but the prices, well, this is cheaper than those older scale figures of the past. It is cheaper, 6,000 yen, that's right. Official retail price is 6,000 yen, and at this 1/8 scale, her height, including the base all the way to the top of her head, 22 centimeters. So before we proceed, a quick mention about the box over here. This is actually kind of oversized. I mean, you look at the figure and then you contrast it with the box behind her. This is kind of big for a figure of 1/8 scale that is so simple with no extra parts in the box, right? But at the same time, it is a very attractive looking box, yeah. Alter style clear plastic boxes, which they still do even today for some figures. Design wise, no complaints, but just like pop-up rate or alter boxes that are of this plastic kind, this offers very little protection to the figure in case, shipping was pretty rough, and yeah, this may dent quite badly. So this box, I can give it a 6 out of 10 maybe, both for the quality, durability, design, and everything else included. Now moving on to the sculpting department of this figure, I would say that the detail level is roughly a 7 out of 10 for a low budget figure. It is pretty detailed for a low budget figure, especially on her outfit and the sculpt on her hair, but at the same time, I wouldn't say that this is extraordinary. Mostly because I have been exposed to so many low-budget scale figures coming out of Chinese brands nowadays. I'm starting to get used to it, which in a way it means that my expectations has grown a little bit since then. However, I have to commend what Myethos was able to do. At this low price point and at this scale, they squeezed quite a lot of stuff into a 1/8 scale figure that cost so little. If you pay attention to the figure at close viewing distances, there are no mold lines, there are no ugly gaps or seams to be found, every part seems to fit properly, and I suppose that this is the minimum expectations one should have for any anime figure nowadays. The standards today are a lot higher. There are virtually no flaws to be found in terms of the sculpt department, which is impressive. The face easily gets at least an 8 or even an 8.5 out of 10. If you look at any Elysia figures from Apex Toys, a lot more expensive, 25,000-30,000 yen and up. Yes, those figures are more detailed on the face and even on the hair, but if we look at the accuracy part, does she look like Elysia? Then this one is not too different from premium scale figures. It is very accurate. So high marks for her face over here, the smile and everything. There is not a single thing that I would change to make it better. Moving on to the paintwork, this is where this figure really shines at a 6,000 yen price point. The detail level in terms of the paintwork and the shading, the weathering, it is on par with expensive premium scale figures. And the kinds of paintwork you're getting on this figure is the kind that you almost never see in Good Smile Company's pop-up rate. Regardless of whether it is a standard pop-up rate or L or XL, the amount and degree of shading you can see on her hair, on her outfit, on her dress, it is quite heavy. It is on the heavy-handed side of things. I was pretty impressed because if you ignore the scale part of the figure, which is slightly smaller, you compare her to the more expensive scale figures out there at 1/7 or 1/6 that cost maybe 15 to 20,000 yen, they are almost indistinguishable. She is at that level in terms of paintwork, the detailing and everything. So to get something like this at 6,000 yen is kind of nuts when I think about it. To be honest with you, I wasn't sure what to expect out of Myethos Gift Plus, because even if the company is good at premium scale figures, it does not mean that their lower quality, their lower budget stuff will be equally good. Good Smile Company and Pop-Up Rate is the perfect example of it. But what I got over here truly surprised me in a very pleasant way. There really isn't much else I can think of to make the figure better in terms of both the sculpt and the paintwork. They have perfected what a low budget figure should be at 6,000 yen. If there is one flaw in this figure, there is one single flaw, and this is the kind of flaw which can be completely random. It can be present on my copy but not your copy, and that would be a very minor scuff or scratch on the left shoulder over here. As you can see in this video footage, yeah, it is like the purple blue paint work is being scratched off or rubbed off, right? And it looks like this scratch is underneath this translucent piece over here. This transparent piece over here, it looks like it was painted from the inside. The inner surface was painted, not the exterior. The outside is just glossy PVC plastic. And then maybe the paint has not fully dried yet, and then they slapped on the figure and then they accidentally scraped off some paint. That is my guess over here, right? So it is the random kinds of flaw, and it is on the far side on the upper shoulder over here, so you don't normally see it from normal viewing distances. Ideally, this shouldn't be there, but at the same time, this was the only flaw I could find on this figure, and it is specifically my copy. There might be better copies out there that are completely flawless. So the paintwork I can give for this figure is a high 8 out of 10. It is excellent mostly, yes. Lastly, the base of this figure. This is another point where I can give her a full 10 out of 10. Yes, a full 10 out of 10 for a figure base. There are no stability issues. The figure is rock solid even with one leg plugged into the base. Not to mention the base over here is not some cheap glossy plastic base, not some random plain round disc. You are getting a diorama base in a way. The surface of a beach and with some water effect. This is not the best looking water effect, but it looks very nice for the price point. This kind of base is something you will never see even in lower budget Chinese figures, not to mention Japanese ones. So this is very unusual, and I just have to give it a full 10 out of 10. Considering there are no flaws, it looks nice, and it is actually heavy, very weighty. It is not hollow, so the figure is even more stable than ever. Stability score on this figure is a 9 out of 10. Excellent. So arriving at the conclusion of today's figure review, can I recommend this figure of Elysia? If you have deep pockets, you are rich, you can afford proper premium scale figures, by all means go and buy the ones made by Apex Toys, right? They are not too rare yet at the moment, but if you are on a lower budget, you can't afford to spend too much on any anime figure, this is perhaps the best Elysia figure out there from Honkai Impacted at a low price point. There are no alternatives, and for that reason, she comes as highly recommended. If you found this review to be helpful or informative, please do give this video a like and subscribe to this channel for more anime figure content every week. Until then, thanks a lot for watching and I will see you soon. Goodbye.